Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to give an emphasis on our previous discussion about nationalism. Okay, so nationalism speaks of the creed of loyalty. It simply means a person's loyalty to his own nation. Nationalism is actually a two-coined word from the root word national and the suffix ism or ism. Okay. What is the meaning of national and ism, and what is it, or what is the impact of this word if they are being coined? Okay, so national means the people who is living in a state. The people that composes the state is what we call a national, the nation. When you talk about a nation, it is more on a territorial concept. You're thinking about the boundaries, the meets and bounds of a particular uh, place. While you talk of a national, you are talking about the people that is living in that particular space or territory. Okay? You talk about the people, okay? People and their system of belief. Ism means a system of belief. What is the belief of these people? Okay? What are the principles to which they adhere to? Okay? That is why when you coin that words national and ism, the suffix ism, you are forming the word nationalism, which means the people and their system of belief. The system of the belief connotes one of the characteristics, okay, which is honesty, loyalty. That is why most of the reading materials that you have seen talks about nationalism as the loyalty to the state. It's a characteristic of being loyal, being honest, truthfulness, being truthful, being genuine in your acts towards your own country. Okay, now nationality. Let's go first with nationality. Nationality simply means a membership in any class or form of political community. In Tagalog, ito yung pagiging isang miyembro ng isang grupo ng political community or komunidad na merong sistema ng politika. Okay? Like for example, in the Philippines, okay, the nationality of a certain person born in the Philippines and adheres to the principles and the ideals of the Filipino people or the Filipino community, okay, is what we call a Filipino national. Nationality is just a term which is more territorial in aspect. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, if you talk about nation, you're talking about the territorial jurisdiction, okay? The meets and bounds. How wide, how long, how deep, okay, is that particular space to which these people lives in. Okay? Now, those people living in that particular place is what we call the nationals of that nation. Okay? So, nationals may be citizens. Anybody whom you can see living in the Philippines, since it is territorial in aspect, may be called Filipino nationals. We are not talking about here whether or not she has a blood on related to Americans or foreign blood. Right? We do not even talk here about what we call as the properties of that particular person or that he is married to anybody else who is not a Filipino. Okay? What we talk or concentrate in here is that if you talk about nationality, you are talking about the place, the location to which that particular person is being found. That is why it says nationals may be citizens. Note the word may be. It means that not all nationals are citizens. Okay, just like what I have given you as an example, if a particular Chinese came to the Philippines or come to the Philippines and establish his business in the Philippines and has been doing business in the Philippines for at least 10 long years, okay, he can be called as a Filipino national, but we cannot automatically qualify him as a Filipino citizen. Remember that the word nationality and citizenship are two different terms with different meanings. Okay? So all people that you can found in the territorial jurisdiction of the Philippines can be called as Filipino nationals, specifically if they establish their residence in the Philippines, okay, and they also practice some of our cultures, but they are not considered automatically as citizens of the Philippines. Why nationality is a territorial in aspect does not give rights or privilege does not give full rights or privilege of exercising civil or political rights. Well, human rights, if we're talking about human rights, they have that because they are humans. Okay? Everybody, every state, I should say, in the world has its own human rights inherent or that has been integrated into their fundamental laws. Okay? Just like the Philippines. We have laws that pertains or protects human rights, which includes Filipino nationals. But eh, nationality or Filipino nationals, as you may include aliens or foreigners, does not have the full rights or privilege of exercising civil or political rights. Like, for example, the right to own lands, the right to own properties, particularly uh, in the Philippines. They may own properties or lands in the Philippines, aliens, foreigners, okay? But eh, this will be under the name of a Filipino citizen. Okay? Multinational corporations, these are run, majority of them, the board of directors are foreigners. But eh, majority of the holders of stocks or the major holder stockholders, I should say, must be Filipino citizens. The right of suffrage. Okay. Can they vote? Filipino nationals who are foreigners who had taken their oath of allegiance may have the right to vote. But those who did not take the oath of allegiance does not have the right of suffrage. Okay? So meron silang karapatan, pinoprotektahan sila ng ating batas, pero ang karapatang na ibibigay sa mga Filipino nationals or mga tinatawag nating nationals ay limitado lamang. And these limitations are being set forth to them by laws. Okay? Unlike when you talk about citizenship. When you talk about citizenship class, it is more personal and permanent membership in a political community. Here, you do not have what we call a choice sometimes. Why? Because citizenship is inherent to an individual who is born in the Philippines, who is born with Filipino parents, who has Filipino bloodline. Then you are being called as a Filipino citizen. Okay? This is more or less permanent in the sense that you do not have to do anything. Okay? You do not have to undergo any legal process just to become a citizen. Like for example, in becoming Filipino citizen, wala ka namang ibang gagawin para maging Filipino citizen ka kapag ikaw ay pinanganak with Filipino parents. Automatically, when you are born with Filipino parents, okay, you have blood running in you, Filipino blood, then you are called a Filipino citizen. Okay. Hindi mo na kailangang pumunta doon sa harapan ng abogado at mag-execute ng any deed or any affidavit just to confirm your citizenship. Okay? Or nang pinanganak ka, mayroon ka mang dugong Amerikano dahil ang tatay mo ang Amerikano pero ang nanay mo Pilipina, ipinanganak ka sa bansang Pilipinas, then you are automatically a Filipino citizen. Why? Because citizenship can be acquired. Citizenship is acquired by birth, nung pinanganak ka, yung example natin kanina, by naturalization, and by marriage. So there are three ways of acquiring citizenship. Unlike a nationality, going back to nationality, eh, acquiring nationality is actually just migrating. You just go to other place and then you will be called as a Filipino national, an American national, for as long as the law of that particular state allows you to be called as a national. Why? Because it is more territorial in concept. Eh? So kung nasaan ka na lugar, you can be called as a national of that particular state for as long as you follow their rules. Okay? But that uh, being a national, I should say, of that particular state does not give you the reason, okay, the right to fully exercise as provided in their laws, unlike in citizenship. So citizenship is acquired by birth when you are born with Filipino blood, with parents who are both Filipinos. By naturalization, it means that you are a foreigner, like for example, you are an American and you come to the Philippines and you wanted to become a Filipino citizen, then you have to apply. Okay? You submit an application to be naturalized. Okay? Application for naturalization to become a Filipino citizenship. Then the embassy will call you, okay? And you have to execute an oath of allegiance to the Philippines. Okay? And if that will be approved, a certificate of naturalization will be released to you, certifying that you had already become a Filipino citizen by virtue of naturalization. It is a legal process. Okay? That's the second way of acquiring citizenship. And the third is by marriage. Okay? If you are a Filipina and you went abroad as an OFW and there you met your employer and your employer was single and he married you, okay? By virtue of marriage, you also acquire the citizenship of your partner. Okay? That is why there has been an issue about dual citizenship. Because practically, when you married that foreigner husband, you did not lose Filipino citizenship. Instead, you just have added another citizenship, which is American. Linawin ko lang. Halimbawa, ako, nakipag-asawa ako ng Turkish. Okay? Ako ay Pilipina, so nag-asawa ako ng Turkish. Ano ngayon ang citizenship ko? I have dual citizenship, being a Turkish by virtue of marriage and being a Filipina by virtue of my blood. Okay? Just sanguinis, yun yung tinatawag natin by virtue of blood, just sanguinis, by virtue of the location where you were born, that is just soli. Because if you talk about soli or loci, yes, that is talking about venue or location. Okay? So going back, nag-asawa ako ng Turkish, I have dual citizenship now. Now, ang ginawa ng asawa ko, dinala niya ako sa Turkey, nanirahan kami doon. Does that automatically, okay, make me a full Turkish citizen and no longer a Filipino citizen? The answer is no. Okay. I am still a Filipina, a Filipino citizen. Why? I did not exert any overt act to change my citizenship. I did not apply for naturalization in Turkey, and I did not even take an oath of allegiance to Turkey. That means that I retain my citizenship as a Filipina. Okay? But I acquired also, by virtue of marriage, the citizenship of my husband, which is a Turkish citizen. Okay? Now, if citizenship can be acquired, it is also, okay, possible that we can lose our citizenship. Answer is yes. So it may be lost first by naturalization. Well, if you can become a Filipino by applying, you can also remove your Filipino citizenship by the process of application. Okay, you have to undergo naturalization. What does that mean? I'll go to Turkey. I will follow my Turkish husband and I apply for naturalization. By the time that my application for naturalization in Turkey is being approved, okay, I have to take my oath of allegiance. And that time, I already lost my Filipino citizenship. Okay? So you can both acquire and lose your citizenship by means of naturalization. Next one, by express renunciation. I did not apply for naturalization, but what I follow is the laws of Turkey. Let's say there is a war between Turkey and the Philippines. Okay? I have dual citizenship. I am both a Filipina and Turkish by virtue of marriage. Now, I became a spy for the benefit of the Turkey government. Okay? That particular example class, that act, like overt act of helping the Turkish government instead of the Filipino or instead of the Philippine government is an overt act of renouncing, okay, my citizenship. Ibig sabihin, inaalis ko na ang pagiging Pilipino ko sa pamamagitan ng pagtulong ko sa gobyerno ng Turkey. I preferred to become a Turkish citizen in that particular example, especially when I took the oath of allegiance. Okay? Taking the oath of allegiance is just like when you are being there in front of the altar and taking your vow to take the other party to become your husband or your wife before people and before the eyes of God. Para lang yan yung nagtitake ka ng vow. Yung tinasabi mong till death do us part. Yan. Yan ang example ng oath of allegiance. It means that you are taking the vow, you are taking the promise, okay, before that particular government to uphold its laws, to follow its rules, to the exclusion of any other government. So, nag-promise ka na sa kanya ang loyalty mo. Ibig sabihin, expressly, you are already removing your citizenship from the other country. Next one, by rendering service to or accepting commission in the armed forces of a foreign country. Ito yung example ko din kanina. If there is a war, instead na tulungan mo ang gobyerno ng Pilipinas, tinulungan mo ang gobyerno ng Turkey. In that particular example, expressly by your overt actions, you are choosing Turkish government over the Philippines, which means that you are already ready to renounce. You are renouncing your citizenship to the Philippines. Okay? And next, by cancellation of the certificate of naturalization. Is there any instance that the certificate of naturalization is being cancelled? Yes, there is. Okay? Halimbawa, ngayon, nag-apply si, let's say, Adam Smith. Adam Smith, okay, had applied for naturalization and was issued with a certificate of naturalization to become a Filipino citizen. So, naging Filipino citizen na si Adam Smith. However, there are some rules or laws of the Philippines that he violated. Like, for example, commission of murder, commission of heinous crimes. He committed a heinous crime in the Philippines, okay, which is already unacceptable to the terms or violative to the terms of the naturalization. In that case, the Philippine government may cancel his certificate of naturalization. Once the certificate of naturalization has been cancelled, okay, his Filipino citizenship is being dismantled. Maaalis sa kanya ang pagiging Pilipino. Ano nang matitira sa kanya, ma'am? Kasi nag-apply na siya ng naturalization. Nung nag-apply siya ng naturalization, naalis na sa kanya yung dati niyang citizenship bilang Amerikano. Naging Pilipino na siya, hindi na siya Amerikano. Ngayon, kinancel natin ang kanyang naturalization. Ano na ngayon ang kanyang citizenship? Well, he may be considered as a stateless individual. A person who does not belong to any state. A person who does not or has not been a citizen of any other country. Or of any country, I should say. That is what we call the effects of losing your citizenship. Okay? Your key points: citizenship may be acquired but may also be lost. Now let's go to the difference between nationalism versus patriotism. Okay. Now before going to that, let's go first to what we call as the key uh, types of